everyone. It's been a while since we've looked at acrylics in colour focus. For the past 2 or 3 lessons we've looked at watercolour yellows and oranges. So I thought we'd revert back to acrylics today and have a look at a new colour and see what are the tones and shades we can get from it. So this time we're working with a lemon yellow, and as always when we're doing these, just pop the brand and the actual name of the paint at the top with a raw paint swatch, so we know that that's lemon yellow in its raw state out of the tube. So lemon yellow is quite acidic. It's quite a sort of bright colour, but it's also quite transparent. So the first thing that we're actually going to do is just add a little bit of white into this. Now white is an opaque colour, so by adding white into the lemon yellow, we're also going to start to make that a little bit more opaque. Okay, we probably won't get many shades out of this by adding the white. There's not much. It's not as if we're like using a dark blue or something where we've probably got a few more tones that we can get out of it, because obviously the lemon yellow is quite light and bright to start with. So by us adding in the white here, we've not got a long journey to go with it. But you can see already that by adding in that white, we're starting to get a less transparent colour and a more solid opaque colour. So we perhaps might just get one more out of this. So I'm adding quite a lot of the white now, just to show you a difference. Probably still need more. So you're just trying to get a nice range of tones, showing you the difference from the raw colour, and then by adding in various amounts of white, we start to change that and get some lighter tones. And as we know, when we add white into a colour, these are actually called tints. Okay, so that's adding the white in. We're now going to add some black into the lemon yellow. Obviously the black is an extremely strong colour. It's got strong pigment, where the lemon yellow hasn't got very strong pigment. So I'm going to have to look at the ratio of this quite carefully. So we've got that lemon yellow there. We're just going to add in tiniest amount of black just on the tip of the brush and just see what we get. Okay, just a little bit more. Okay, make sure you work it into the brush so you get an even feel to it. Okay, so starting to see that dull down a little bit there. Add in a little bit more. And we're starting to get a slight green feel, aren't we, to this yellow now. Add in a little bit more. Sort of an olive green, isn't it? That's appearing. You wouldn't think that by adding black into lemon yellow. We're certainly getting more shades out of this now. More tones, greater range of them, because we've got a stronger colour to mix with it. And probably one more. And we'll see how those dry. Okay, so the next row, as we've done previously, we'll be using the lemon yellow and adding white and black into it. So we start to get those grey tones within the colour. Okay, so we're going to start off with the lemon yellow again. I don't think I got all the black out of my brush then, so do make sure that you get all the black out. Now I'm just going to increase the amount. So increase the amount of white into the yellow. And increase the amount of black. And you can play around with these three colours and just start to see, that's quite nice actually, just start to see all the different shades, how many you can actually make from it. And add a little bit more white into that mix. So you're already getting sort of hints from things on your palette as to what other shades you might like to make. Some really nice greens coming out of there. Okay, I'm just going to add a bit more of the yellow into that. Actually quite a bit more. Let's see what that gives us. And there. And then I'm going to add some black into that as well. Okay, so it's not that different from that one, is this? So let's see how we can alter that. Perhaps bring in some white. That's a bit better on there. Yeah, okay. So that was quite interesting really to see how just the black and the lemon yellow has been able to give us a hint of these nice olivey greens when we come to look at like nice natural greens in the landscape. And we haven't got an olive green. If we've only got a sap green can sometimes be a little bit too artificial in its colour. So these ones here are really sort of producing some nice natural greens. So that's definitely something to think about. Okay, so don't forget to just make yourself some notes underneath those swatches to remind yourself what you've added in there. And then we'll look at producing a little study on the opposite page to see how these are going to work. Okay, see you soon. Welcome back to this colour focus lesson on looking at lemon yellow in acrylics. As I mentioned when we were doing the swatches, how by adding this black it's actually making some really nice natural greens. I thought that it might be an idea to perhaps look at a little bit of a tree landscape just as our study on here. Okay, so first of all I'm just going to think of the background, something quite light I think initially, so perhaps looking at some of perhaps these tones just so that we're taking the edge off the lemon yellow, it's not too strong. So majority white on here and just tinting that white with the lemon yellow. So yeah, maybe just a tad more white, only because your acrylics dry slightly darker. A little bit on my brush, go away. On there. Okay, so just putting in a little bit of a background, not worried too much about that being flat. I think it's nicer to actually see some brush marks in there, and that's going to be our glow. I think just getting slightly stronger as we come over to this side. Maybe coming down into a pathway or something down there. Right, okay, so I've just been popping all that in with a flat-headed brush. It can be done with a filbert as well if you want to, just something that's going to give you relatively good coverage. And then I think I'm going to use my tatty brush then, because we're thinking about foliage. As we've spoken about before in lessons on trees, is looking at a tatty brush is actually going to help us get a nice ragged foliage feel to it. We're going to work dark to light, I think, with the foliage, so let's perhaps look at some of these deeper greens to start with. So just opening up those bristles by sort of tapping the brush on its end to open them up. This is why you only do this with tatty brushes and not new ones. But you can see already there's a really nice jagged feel to that. So just using some of these deeper greens here. Allowing the brush to give you that foliage feel. Also then just bringing out some of those slightly lighter ones when we get out towards the edge. And then deeper again as we get over this side. Just give a little bit over this side as well, I think, just for balance. And some of the lighter ones as we come into that lighter area. Also denser as you come to this part of the trees as well. Alright, so that was with quite a large tatty brush, which was going to give us the majority of the foliage in there. We'll use a slightly smaller one now for the leaves towards the edge. Okay, so into this lighter section here. So a mixture of those tones that we've mixed there with the lemon yellow, the white and the black. As it comes over into that light section, then it's going to make the leaves lighter as well. Okay, as that dries off, I might come back in and get some pure sort of lemon yellow just to really get that highlight working nicely there. Okay, so I'm just going to revert back to my flat-headed brush, and I'm going to use some of this really nice dark black and lemon yellow, so it's majority black, and just taking the edge off the black with the lemon yellow, so getting this real dense colour here. Okay, and we're going to bring in some tree trunks. Okay, a bit more paint. Just take that straight out of the forest. This is one that's really quite close to us. Okay, making sure that just flares out slightly at the bottom. And because some of that paint is still wet underneath, it's actually giving us a nice variation of tone as that goes up. Okay, so a slightly thinner one in the background, using the edge of the flat-headed brush there. And let's pop another two in here, I think. You're looking for variation in the thicknesses of the trees. Okay, that's going to put another one over this side now. Still using that really dark mix that we tested out here. Okay, so let's go for another thick one over here. Your acrylics will dry slightly darker. Going to take that up and get really nice contrast now between that light background that we put in and the dark tree trunk that we're putting here in the foreground. And we've put some thinner ones over there, so maybe we can put just a thin one going up there as well. Thinking about this balance. Put some darkness down here as well, I think now. Allow those trees to be rooted. And on this side, just blocking in that area. Coming slightly lighter here as we go back into the distance. A bit more foliage, I think, down this way, but you can certainly see, can't you, how these colours are translating to this little scene. Very soft range of greens here, very natural. There's nothing particularly artificial looking. Just put a bit more in there. So it's good not only to test the colours out, but then once you've got a range of swatches, just see if they suggest a particular scene or a particular little study. So I'm going to now use just the lemon yellow, see if that's bright enough on that edge, getting a really nice sunlit side to there. Also good to have a little bit of the raw colour in there because it reminds you again what you've used over this side. Now it would be nice to get a little bit of highlight perhaps on the edge of these trees, but if I try to put the lemon yellow directly onto that black, we won't see it. As I mentioned previously, the lemon yellow is quite transparent, so I'm just going to turn my book around a second to do this, just so it's a little bit easier to do a vertical line, but obviously I'm doing it horizontally. So I'm using a flat-headed brush, and at this moment there is just the lemon yellow on my brush. Now going over that black, you can see it's sort of not very bright at all. We're starting to get some of that black showing through, so it is making it slightly greeny. If we want to have a nice strong highlight on there, we need to add a little bit of the white into the lemon yellow. Remember, the white will make the lemon yellow more opaque, so therefore it should sit on top of that black a little bit more strongly. So if we do that again, we can do that over the top of there. Black's slightly still wet. Put a bit more of the white in. Yeah, it's a little bit tacky, so but we should start to see a much brighter edge to there, and that black isn't really showing through on that. So just just running that up the edge of that tree, and we're going to do the same on the one back here. This might be a little bit drier. Making sure that your brush is patted down so that you get a nice straight edge in there to give you a nice straight line. Okay, so that helps us just to get a little bit of highlight on the edge of those trees there. By adding the white into the lemon yellow. Okay, and then again on the other side for those ones. So just run it down the edge. Helps to give the tree just a little bit more of a three-dimensional feel to it. Okay, so let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's not too bad. Maybe just bring a few more of these darker foliage marks into that pathway. Yes, I think really we've covered there, haven't we? Most of the tones in this little study here. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and we'll have a look now at mixing a lemon yellow in with another colour and black and white and see what tones we get from that. Okay, see you soon. Bye.